Hello, welcome back, horse girls and guys. I hope you guys are having a great September so far. Um, it is Labor Day today, so I'm here on Monday. Most of my friends and family are off work today, so if you're off work, hope you're enjoying your day off. I'm off work today as well. Actually, the horse barn that I work at has recently started implementing that us um, part-time and full-time help are not going to be working on holidays anymore, which is super awesome. Um, it was kind of it was kind of something our barn manager had to push for because she has to work weekends, holidays, like literally everything, and she has really gotten tired of doing that. So, I want to say last month they sent out an email that people, the paid help was not going to be working on holidays anymore. Your horses will be fed and put out, but stalls are not going to be done. Buckets are not going to be cleaned if, it's cleaning day or whatever. So, you want your horse's stall done, you have to come clean it yourself. Which, it's blunt, but honestly, like, I'm for it because, like, working at a boarding barn is very similar to like working in retail, and like it is actually customer service, and people just expect you to be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for their horse, and they don't appreciate anything. Nothing is good enough. Stalls aren't done good enough. The hay isn't good enough. There's not enough hay. You missed one chunk of poop in their stall, and people just, it's always something. So I feel for our barn manager because she really struggles with just not being appreciated and like being burnt out because people just complain about everything she does. So she was like, you know what? I can at least have the holidays. So I don't blame her, and I'm not complaining about it. There's no reason like people can't come out on the holiday to take care of their own horse, where like myself, my horses live at home. I have to take care of them holidays or not. And yeah, so I mean, I get the argument that like they pay for the horse to be taken care of. Absolutely, that's why their horse gets taken care of every other day of the year. But yeah, so happy Labor Day. This weekend, me and my boyfriend went down to Mount Pleasant, Iowa. I don't know if any of you guys are from Iowa. I know some of you guys are that watch my videos at least, but I don't know if any of you from the podcast are Iowans. But my boyfriend really wanted to go to Mount Pleasant, Iowa on Saturday because they had the Old Threshers reunion. If you've never heard of the Old Threshers reunion, it's kind of like a festival fair type thing for antiques. And honestly, I've never been. Like, my grandpa goes every year. I think my stepdad goes most years with him. And so I've always known about it, but I've never gone. And honestly, it was really cool. I enjoyed it. They had steam engines, trains, all kinds of antique equipment, just tractors. Like, there was probably over 1,000 tractors there. Just an insane amount of equipment. There was all kinds of vendors, a lot of food. Yeah, a lot of like, there was a whole building full of antique, just like tools and just anything antiques for sale. There was toys, there was dishes, there was jewelry. There was a little bit of horse tack I saw, but I don't know where. There was an entire horse tack booth there somewhere, and we must have totally like walked right by it, or it must have been in a part of the fairgrounds that like we passed or didn't get to, because I never saw it. But my friend Melanie was there yesterday on Sunday, and she sent me a video of it, and there was like all kinds of saddles and tack and everything, and I was like, okay, well, what the heck, because we didn't see that anywhere. But yeah, it was pretty fun. We got, what all did we buy? I actually don't think we got a magnet, because my boyfriend wants to start doing this thing where we collect magnets when we go places, so we can fill our fridge with magnets, which my grandma and grandpa used to do. And my grandpa's fridge is still full of magnets from the places they've been. We got honeycomb. There was like a vendor in one of the buildings that was like a honey, like local honey type place, and they were selling little containers of honeycomb. And I have always wanted to try it because like I see people doing ASMR and stuff eating it, and so I've always like wanted to try it. It looks like so satisfying to eat. So we bought some. It was $12 for like a little container, but you don't come across it like in the store and stuff, so I just bought it. And honestly, I'm kind of confused by it. Or I guess I'm not really confused, but you eat it, and like once you swallow all of the honey, I mean, it's just filled with like liquid honey. Once you swallow all of that, you're left with like the combs, and those aren't, it's like not edible. I mean, I guess you could swallow it if you wanted to, but I think that's just like beeswax. I've never really understood like what beeswax was or where it came from, like what part of the hive it was. I think it's that. I think it's just the actual comb, the combs. Because once the honey, like you swallow all the honey, you're just left with that, and then you just chew on it until it's like chewing on a candle. It has absolutely no flavor or taste. So I guess you could swallow it if you want, but I just spit it out. So anyway, first time for trying honeycomb. That's my review. We also got homemade root beer, and I'm gonna give it like a 3 out of 5. It was alright. It had a very authentic like root taste to it. You know, it wasn't just like vanilla flavored pop. So it was very rooty and, you know, authentic tasting, but it wasn't carbonated at all. And so that just kind of was like, for me. Okay, there's a gnat in here. I'm trying to catch him. So yeah, that was okay. We spent like $20 and got a gallon of it, so we're gonna just have to drink it. I mean, it's okay. It's not bad. But I also just can't drink a lot of it because it is very sweet, like syrupy. And I'm sure they don't use syrup in it, you know, because it's like homemade and stuff, but it is very sweet. So I can drink like a small glass of it. My boyfriend has been eating a root beer float for breakfast like the last couple days with it, and he says that slaps. So yeah, that was our Saturday. It was pretty fun. Think if there's anything else we did. There was a lot of draft horses there. They had like a draft horse exhibit. So they had several different types of draft horses. They had like Percherons, Belgians, Suffolk, Halflingers. And so they demonstrated like how they hooked them all up to this wheel, and so the wheel like powered the sawmill. So you had like 6 teams of horses, so like 12 horses going around on the wheel, driving it, and then the wheel powered the saw, and then they would cut their wood that way. I know they had one, a threshing machine that a horse got on the treadmill and would walk the treadmill, and it would power the machine. And so that stuff was really cool because you don't ever see that like being done anywhere. So yeah, that was a pretty good day. Let me know if any of you guys have ever been there. I would recommend it if you haven't. But yeah, that was Saturday. Yesterday was a pretty chill day. Honestly, I didn't really do a lot yesterday. I did have to work in the morning. I do like every other Sunday morning for working, which was a compromise on my part because I really didn't want to do weekends, but they were really in need of weekend help, so I agreed to like every other Sunday, like 2 Sundays a month. So I did that. And then I came home. I actually felt bad because I kind of had a rush at work. I like just whipped through stalls in like a half an hour and got just threw the hay in the hay nets and was kind of rushing to get home because I had a lesson at 11. My lesson didn't show up. So that was awkward. They've never done that before. Like, this girl has been coming out for several weeks, like most of the summer, and has never, you know, they've always been on time or been early. So I messaged them and was like, hey, it was like 11:30. I'll have to reschedule because I have another appointment at noon, but hope everything's okay. And she responded, I'm so sorry, I totally forgot. Which happens because that has absolutely been me before. There was one time last year, actually before I started working at the barn that I work at now, I was going to work at another barn, you know, like 20 minutes from me. And I was really excited to work at this barn. Like, I went and toured it and, you know, looked at it and everything. And it is such a beautiful facility. Beautiful stalls, like, beautiful arena, brand new arena. They have like an Equa vibe, and they've got, you know, they've got a body worker that like works out of their barn. And so I was super excited to work there. So we like set up a time to start and everything. My first day was gonna be, you know, October or whatever. No joke, you guys, like, we talked about it the day before. I was gonna do Saturday morning. We talked about it Friday night, me and the barn manager. Like, I was gonna be there at 7 a.m. I literally just forgot. And I was so embarrassed and so mad at myself. Like, me and my boyfriend got up Saturday morning, and I made coffee, fed horses, whatever, and then we went to the apple orchard that day. It was a good day, and I didn't even realize it until driving home. Like, I drove past, like, where you're supposed to turn off to go to that barn, and was like, oh my God. And my boyfriend's like, what? It's like, I was supposed to be at that barn this morning. Like, I was supposed to start today. And he's like, well, what made you think of that? I was like, there's the turnoff is right there. I was supposed to be there at 7 o'clock this morning, and I just forgot. And so, like, I messaged the barn manager and was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. I cannot believe I literally forgot. And so, yeah, that was really embarrassing. So they decided to fill the position with somebody else. You know, not that I can really blame them. Like, I literally still cannot believe that I did that. Like, probably one of the most embarrassing moments of my entire life. Because they were, like, literally handing me the job opportunity on a silver platter. Like, when I met the owner and stuff, she's like, Michaela, if you want the position, you can have it. Like, because I'm kind of local, and I've had horses my whole life, and I'm a competent human being. I can make decisions for horses and for myself, and I am reliable, actually. Except for that day, apparently. But that's one thing, like, all of my employers have always noted about me, is that I am extremely reliable. I don't ever call in. In my time working retail, I think I probably called in probably not even 5 times. Like, I can count on one hand the amount of times I have called into work. And then at this current barn that I work in, the only time I have called in there was when I had COVID. And I even still offered to come. I was like, I'll still come, you know, I can work by myself. But, you know, if you don't want me to be there, I won't be there. And she just told me to stay home. But, yeah, super embarrassing. And I'm glad I've moved on from that point in my life. Almost a year ago, so yeah. But anyways, what else did I do yesterday? Other than that, like, working and supposed to have a lesson, I didn't really do anything yesterday. Kind of just hung out inside for the afternoon, and that is something I generally do not do. Like, I don't like to sit around in my house and do nothing. It drives me insane. During the week, if I find myself, like, I'm inside just watching TV for more than, like, an hour, I'm like, okay, what can I be doing right now? Like, is there something I could be doing outside? Is there something I could be working on? Could I be mowing the lawn? Could I be putting up a fence? What could I be working on? And I just, like, kind of get into this panic of the fact that I am sitting and doing nothing. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. I just feel like I am wasting precious daylight, because it's already September. It's going to be winter here soon, and I'm not going to be outside at all working on anything, probably. So when I'm sitting inside, like, I just feel like I'm wasting daylight, I'm wasting summer air, I'm wasting the weather. I need to be outside doing something. I need to make the most of it. I need to get stuff done until I can't work on anything anymore. So I don't do this a lot, but yesterday I had just a chillax afternoon day. Me and my boyfriend went and got groceries, and then I just kind of hung out in the house from like 2 o'clock to like 7 until I went out and did chores. And I was okay with it yesterday because, like I said, it's just not something I ever do. And I think it's okay to do it once in a while and just have a relaxing afternoon. when people do it all the time, that's when I'm kind of like, okay, not cool. But yeah, so yesterday we just hung out and I watched MasterChef Junior and enjoyed the afternoon inside. It was kind of like overcast and kind of cold, like a little bit cold, just chilly outside yesterday. So yeah. Today I wanted to go to the sale barn today. Because the closest like sale barn to where I live has their horse sale on the first Monday of every month. Horses and tack, they have the first Monday of every month. And so since today I was off and they're still having their Labor Day sale, I really wanted to go because I've wanted to go kind of all summer, but haven't, because I work Mondays. And so I really wanted to go today, but nobody wanted to go with me. And that's kind of the story of my life. But I could have gone by myself, but it's just kind of one of those things. Like the sale barn, you go there to spend money. So, I mean, and I probably wasn't going to. I probably wasn't going to buy anything. So, sorry. So I wanted to go, just kind of to go and to see what was going through, see how horse prices are. You know, if something desperately tugged at my heartstrings to rescue, maybe I would have, but it was like, I don't really want to drive. It's over an hour away. I don't really want to drive all the way there just to probably not buy anything and watch and sit there by myself. You know, it's just like one of those things, like you go if somebody's going with you. You know, you do it to do something with a friend or to do something together. So I was like, yeah, I don't really want to go all the way there alone just to sit there through the auction. So I didn't go. But I'm sure there will be another Monday sometime this year. I can always request a Monday off as well if someone goes with me, but sorry, my morning yawns are just now coming through. But today's episode, I wanted to talk about camping with your horses, because a lot of you guys, like, when I do my vlogs and stuff, like going camping or going to our endurance events, like, ask me questions about camping with your horses. And it's something a lot of people don't get to do until they're older. At least in my experience, like, I never camped with my horses growing up. Never. My family is not horse people, for one, so nobody had any desire to go horse camping. But we also didn't have a trailer, and I never horse camped until like a couple years ago. And now I love it. It's like one of my favorite weekend things to do. But a lot of you guys have questions about it because you have also never gone camping and taken your horses camping with you. So I wanted to just, sit down and talk a little bit about it and kind of how to do it and what to bring and stuff like that. So horse camping, I have gone the last few years with all of my horses have been camping overnight. Usually I go for 2 nights. It's got to be pretty close if I'm only going for 1 night. It does cost money, so if you're on a tight budget, I don't recommend it because it does definitely cost in fuel, especially if you're going a long ways. Oh my goodness. The ones that I go to usually are a minimum of a couple hours away. So I do have 1 or 2 local parks around here that allow for horse camping, but I haven't gone to them. So you should definitely ask, like, do your research on the parks, because some parks will allow horses to be trail ridden and stuff there, but you can't camp with them there, even if they have a campground. So, which is kind of bogus. I don't get that, but you can't always camp there with them. So the ones that I go to usually are farther away, and they're like equestrian campgrounds. So they've got like trails and stuff. There is one way down south in like southern Iowa. I think it borders Iowa and Missouri, and it's called River Valley Horse Camp. And it is an amazing campground. I try to go there like once a year, and they have got like several different arenas. They've got miles upon miles of trails. They've got an obstacle course. They have wash racks. They've got round pins. They're always doing events, like every single weekend. They do like a rodeo or a show or a obstacle challenge. They're always doing something. So that's one of my favorites to go to. But I've taken all of them so far camping, Luna, BB, and Sugar. And hopefully this next summer, Hazel and Oakley will be going as well. But camping with your horses is definitely a really good exercise to kind of figure out what your horses are, what they need work on and what they're good at, because like being away from home can be really stressful for some horses. Like the first couple times you might take them camping for, 1 or 2 days is a long period to be away from home for some horses. So you don't really know how exactly they're going to handle it until you do it. And some horses do the best with a buddy. I have a couple endurance friends that they always take their horse a buddy. And some of these horses don't even have to go out on the trail with their buddy. Like they can go out by themselves, but they do the best when they have another horse at camp with them, which is, that's a natural thing for a horse. Horses are herd animals, and so when they have a friend, they're obviously the most comfortable. But you kind of get to know if your horse is going to be stressed out being away from home for that long. And some of these campgrounds have stalls, and some of them don't have stalls or anywhere to put your horse. So your horses have to either stay tied to a trailer, or sometimes they will provide hitching posts. I get that question a lot, on my camping videos, what you do with the horses. And if there's a stall, you have to pay for it. Just because you're renting a camping spot doesn't mean you get a stall with it. So always make sure to ask if stalls are extra or if you have to pay extra for them. At River Valley, you have to pay $10 per stall. So some people will even put 2 horses in the same stall, and I did that last time I was there with Luna and BB, because I didn't want to pay another $10 for another stall. So I just put them in the same stall, and the stalls were big enough, it was tight, but, they're pasture mates already, and they were fine. So I did that. But if they don't have them, then you either just leave your horse tied overnight to the hitching post or to your trailer. Some people will set up high ties, in between trees. They'll set up a high tie, and they'll put their horses on those. And some people really like that. I've never done that with my horses, so I don't know how they would do with that. And then some people bring the little pens. I think I might have talked about this in my last episode, but they'll bring the little pens that you can set up, with a hot wire and the little sticks and your fencer. So some people will do that. And it all just depends what works for your horse. I know people that have had their horses get loose in campgrounds overnight, and that's kind of a nightmare. I mean, usually the horses don't go far from the campground because they want to be with all the other horses. So they just go to somebody else's trailer and antagonize their horses. So that can be, definitely make sure your horse is tied well. And the gal that we camped next to earlier this year, she actually had her horse tied to the hitching post, and then she set up an electric fence all around the hitching post. So her horse was tied and was inside an electric pen. She said that her horse got away from them twice the last time they went camping, so she had to double secure him. But usually there's always somebody else in the campgrounds awake at that time of the night, and people are really good about helping with other people's horses. And so the last time we went camping, the guy next to us, his horse got loose and was just walking around the campsites. So my friend Brooke went and tied his horse back up, and I don't think he even realized it until the next day, and somebody had said that his horse was walking around. But my horses have never gotten loose, thankfully. So yeah. Otherwise, always make sure you bring plenty of hay. I always kind of underestimate the amount of hay I should bring. So a lot of times I'll just bring a whole bale and then, bring the rest of it back home if I don't use it. Hay nets. Always bring a hay net because you don't want to leave your hay all over the ground and waste it. And then always make sure you know where you're supposed to dispose of your manure, because some campgrounds are really strict about it. And so some of them will have like manure stations, especially the ones that have stalls. So you have to clean your stall before you leave, and then you just dump it in the, manure pile. And they usually provide wheelbarrows as well. But some campgrounds are a little more lenient. They're not super strict, and you can just like scoop your poop and throw it out into the woods. Like if you have a woodsy campsite, like if you're right next to the woods, a lot of them will just tell you to throw it out in the woods. It's not a big deal, but you should definitely make sure that you ask so that, we don't get in trouble, as well as you don't want to make campgrounds allowing horses a headache, because there's not a lot of them that allow horses as it is. So following the rules and just being respectful of the campground is common courtesy. Clean up after your horse and dispose of it properly. So water, also another thing to think about. I generally forget a water bucket. I have forgotten a water bucket most of the time. My friend Brooke that I go with a lot, she usually has like 45 buckets in her trailer, so there's always one I can use, but I've done pretty good the last couple times about remembering one. I have started just bringing a big tub now, just like one of those big muck tubs, and I will grab my tub, and then I'll put all of my little tack supplies in the tub to make it easier to carry to the trailer, and then I just don't forget my tub because it's full of my stuff. So I've been doing that a lot. Now, if you have a horse that just like poops in their tub or just knocks it over or something, I would recommend a bucket. So you could bring water buckets and then just hang them on your trailer or hang them on the hitching post, and then they hopefully don't get as wasted. But if you've never been to a campsite or a campground before, when you call to register a spot or to reserve a spot, I would ask, like, if they know what spot they're going to put you in, where the nearest water hydrant is, because some campgrounds, like each campsite has their own water hydrant, which is really cool. But some of them don't, and sometimes your horses, like if this is a campground with stalls, the stalls aren't anywhere near your campsite. So you have to carry water to the stalls, or sometimes the stall, like the section of stalls will have a nearby hydrant, but you're either going to have to fill up your bucket and carry it back to your horse, or you bring a hose. So I know a lot of people that will bring their own hose and just like let people share it and let people use it, which is really cool. Our campsites, the last couple times I've gone camping, have had a hydrant nearby, so I haven't had to go too far. My friend Brooke does, she brings a little wagon when she goes camping, so like one of those pop-up like kid wagons. So she'll bring a wagon, and then she has saved like a whole bunch of Tidy Cats like kitty litter jugs, and so she just saves all those jugs, it cleans them out of course really well, and then she will just, if the hydrant is far away, she'll just wagon all of her jugs over to the hydrant, fill them all, and then wagon them all back, so she doesn't have to carry them, she doesn't have to carry a bucket, and she just dumps them in the buckets. And they're like 2.5, 3 gallons each. So it's quite a bit of water once she's got like 7 of them filled. But that's like one of her pro tips, is those kitty litter jugs, because she also uses them for our endurance rides when, we're done with the ride, or like when she goes out and comes back in on her hold, she will keep those kitty litter jugs filled so she can like dump them on her horse and stuff like that to cool them off. So she uses those things for everything. I have yet to use them or find a use for them, but the thing for the water is a good idea, because it's easier than carrying your bucket over to the hydrant and then carrying your bucket back and then spilling it on yourself and getting it all down your leg, and now your socks are wet. So having a jug would be a good idea. But I don't know anyone with cats or that buys that litter, so I need to ask around. Okay, my thing is going to stop here in a second, so I'm going to pause. At least I caught it this time instead of the last several times that I haven't caught it. Okay, we didn't miss anything this time. But anyways, I need to ask around and see who uses that litter so I can steal their jugs. But, so yeah, water, hay. I would absolutely bring a fork, like a muck fork. Those are always helpful because, like, the campground doesn't supply you one. So I'll always bring a fork so that when you need to clean your stall or when you need to clean up your campsite, you have those. And Brooke brings like a muck tub in one of those carts, you know. So if the place doesn't have a wheelbarrow or whatever, and if you can't just throw out your poop into the woods, she just has a muck tub there. She's the one that should be doing this podcast because she has all the camping things down. I'm trying to think. Always bring like extra stuff. I stock my trailer with extra stuff. Like my trailer has at all times like an extra pair of reins, an extra cinch, an extra halter and lead rope. Like they just hang in there all the time because you never know like if you're gonna break something. And I've shown up to trail rides before where people like are getting their horse out to get ready for the trail ride and they realize, crap, my reins are broken or my cinch just broke. And so they can't ride or they have to ride the whole thing bareback or something, and that's awful. So it's just nice to be the person to always have like an extra thing in your trailer. And then you never have to worry like if your stuff breaks. So always have extra stuff. I bring a little first aid kit. I actually keep it in my saddlebags all the time. So when I'm trail riding and stuff, I have just like a little tiny first aid kit. It doesn't have all the fancy stuff in it, but it's got like Band-Aids in it. It's got like anti-itch cream in it, gauze, a little thing of like medical wrap. You know, just random stuff like that. But so if you do get scraped up or if you are bleeding, we could like wrap it up or something to get you back to camp. So I always bring that. Definitely bring that when you go camping. Your spare tires. Always make sure you got a spare tire. Oh, what else? For long hauls, like if you're trailering for, you know, a couple hours or whatever, I always put a full slow feed hay net in the trailer to encourage the horses to eat because horses, like there are some horses that colic or are more prone to colicking in the trailer. Especially if you have one of those like completely enclosed trailers, you know, you're not hauling in like a stock or anything. They get hot in there sometimes, so if you don't have the windows cracked or whatever, encourage your horse to eat and drink so that they don't colic. My friend Brooke also has one of those bucket covers. I forget what they're called. She's got one of those covers that goes over the bucket and then it just has a little nose hole so that the horses can't, well, I guess so it doesn't splash around and spill. So the last time we went, she put that in the back of our trailer and, you know, so the horses had like a fresh bucket of water back there with that splash lid so that it wouldn't go everywhere. But the horses did have the option to drink if they, you know, really wanted a drink. They could drink back there as well. Definitely know if you're going to sleep in a tent or not. I, for a couple years, have been tent camping. And I don't mind tent camping, but it does get difficult, like, when you don't know the weather, especially, like, with endurance, because that's what I compete in. It is rain or shine. Like, these rides are rain or shine. You ride in the rain, you ride if it's sunny, you ride if it's thunderstorming, if it's windy. The rides just, they go on. So, I have camped in a tent multiple times. A lot of times what I do is I will put my tent in my trailer, and you guys already know this if you watch my vlogs, because I have a stock trailer. So I don't have like a fancy living quarters trailer. I don't have even just an enclosed trailer. Like some people that come to these events are still luckier than myself because they have like an enclosed 2-horse slant or something that is not just a stock, like an open stock. So they can like close up their windows and just shut the doors, and they are completely safe from rain. Like they won't get wet. I don't even have that. Like it is really difficult. So I usually put my tent in my trailer, and that protects it a little bit more from, you know, possible rain or whatever. But the last time I went camping, I actually just decided, you know what, I'm not even going to set up my tent. We did actually get a little bit of rain on this trip, but I just decided I wasn't even going to set up my tent. I'm not going to go through all that work. I'm just going to set up my air mattress, set up my lawn chair and my stuff in my trailer. So I went and that's what I did. I just set up my air mattress in the back of my trailer. I cleaned it out, of course, because like the horses were back there. So once I cleaned it out, I just set up my air mattress. I had my little lawn chair. I had my cooler. And I brought my dog Riley, so I had her kennel back there. And honestly, it was pretty nice. Like, this weekend was so hot. That was the only downfall. It was like over 100 degrees, so I was like dying. But I actually really liked it. It was nice and spacious. And then the bugs weren't that bad. That was my only worry, was like going to be the bugs. But they really weren't that bad in there. So I just slept in my open stock trailer, and it was pretty nice, to be honest. It was roomy. No big deal. I just wish I would have brought shavings for the trailer floor. That's one thing that I have just been terrible about this year, is I just haven't spent $5 on a thing of shavings, so my horses have just been standing on the mats. And not usually a big deal because I don't normally haul very long distances, but for this, I wish I would have, because like the poop on the floor and stuff, it was just like, ugh, getting on my air mattress, and I wish I would have brought some shavings. So another tip, if you're going to be hauling away, is it's really nice to have shavings on your floor for traction wise and cleanup wise, and yeah, I would just recommend putting shavings on the floor. Bring plenty of food. Not all campsites have food, you know, this is just general camping stuff. Bring food. I like cooking over the fire personally. I'm an old school camper. I like making a fire and then I put my food over it to cook it. But if you're going to do that, definitely check with your campgrounds and see if they allow you to bring wood. Some campgrounds are really lenient about it and they're just like, yeah, whatever, just bring wood, it's fine. Some campgrounds are very strict about it and they do not let you use your own wood. So just kind of know, if you've never been to this campground, maybe see if anyone you know has been to that campground and what their experience is. Because you don't want to get there and then they confiscate all your wood and they're like, you have to spend $10 a bundle and buy our wood if you want to have a fire. Because some of them will do that. And especially if you brought all your food planning to cook it on a fire, like, and then you can't have a fire, like, that's super frustrating. So be prepared for that. And a lot of places, like, they're woodsy campgrounds anyway, so they cut up their own wood and it's fine. But they do that because, like, people that are coming from out of state and whatever could be bringing like invasive insects or fungus or just junk like that in with their wood, and so they just don't allow people to bring their own wood. But all of the campgrounds I've been to have not been strict about it at all, and sometimes you don't even know, like I'll just bring a little bit of wood, and you know, if they do end up saying, hey, you can't have that wood, we have to take it, then that's fine. You know, it's not like I brought a whole truckload full. But some campgrounds will also, like, have a rule in place, but they don't enforce it. So a lot of times they won't even ask if you have wood or not. So that's kind of nice, in my opinion. But yeah, just plan for that. I think it was a couple years ago, I bought just one of those little grills. Like, it's just a little, like, I don't know, 12 by 16 inch little grill, like a tabletop grill. And then you put on just one of those little propane tanks, like the little cylinders. I haven't had a chance to use it this year, but that would be a good investment for you if you don't plan to cook over a fire, if you don't want to start a fire, if you don't want to deal with it. Sometimes you're going to these campgrounds, like in my case, like for an endurance event, and you don't have time to start a fire for every meal, so you just want to cook up a little something on a little grill. I think the one that I bought at Dollar General for like $25. Now, I haven't used it yet, so I don't know how good it is, but that's an option for you as well. My friend Brooke, her dad comes a lot of times camping with her, which is super awesome. Like, I wish my dad would come camping with me every time. But he usually, like, he'll get up early and he'll have the little grill out and he'll be making breakfast and everything, and so she never has to worry, and that's super cool. I wish I had someone making me breakfast, but Yeah, other than that, I'm trying to think. Prepare the worst for the trails. Like if you're going to these parks to trail ride, I would just bring everything like trail riding wise that you have. Like your saddlebags, bring saddlebags, bring, extra tack. Like I said, bring your extra tack because you don't know if things are gonna break out there. Bring your first aid kit. If your horse wears shoes or boots, bring them anyway, like because you have no idea what the trails are going to be like, and sometimes they're different when you get out there. Like you will have spots of sand and then you will have spots of horrible rock, like big chunky awful rock. Some of the water crossings are just soft mud, some of them are that big chunky awful rock, some have been graveled over. So if your horse has sensitive feet, I would just recommend if you have boots to bring them, and like even put them in your saddlebag, because if you don't know the trails, you don't know if the trails are going to be fine for most of the way, and then they'll get really bad. I would ask, I guess, if you know anyone that has been to a campground, like if you are concerned about the difficulty of the trails, like if you have an older horse or whatever that you don't want to take on really hard trails and you don't know how hard the trails are, you could also ask, like when you call to reserve your campsite, ask the person on the phone, like, are these really challenging trails? Are they very wide? Are they flat? And it'll also depend on like the area that you live into of like the United States. But we have a really good mix locally for the parks that I go to. Some of them are just really wide and they're really flat and they're very like beginner easy trails, and then we have some that are very like up and down, very rocky. I live in Iowa, so like sometimes we go up to Wisconsin and we'll camp, and Wisconsin's trails are a very good mixture, at least to the campgrounds I've been to. Like there is like giant, I'm not going to call them mountains, but like for Iowa they'd be considered mountains, that you go up and down, very steep, rocky, climbing up and down these hills. And then there's also like really wide open flat prairies that are super pretty. So you'll just have to ask around or ask the park rangers or whoever is, setting up your camping for you. But gee, other than that, I'm not sure if I have much else for you on camping anyways. I really like it. I wish I could go more often, but like I said, it does cost money. I do want to go at least 1 or 2 more times this year. I know it's already September, so I really need to get on it. But I would like to camp. There is a very local park pretty close to me that allows camping, so I'd like to camp there once. And then there is also an endurance ride in October that I'm thinking about going to. We'll see. We'll see basically how BB's vet results come back. But I think I might go again then. But I'll let you guys know, and we'll just see how it goes. But other than that, we'll see. Let's look at the video comments and see what we have for videos. Make sure my sound is off. One day I'll have a nice fancy living quarter trailer and I won't have to sleep in my trailer anymore, and that will be so nice. Okay. So this is on my last episode. Oh, somebody did mention on the last episode in the comments about like people's horses getting loose, that one of her friend's horses, no, this was her horse, she woke up in the morning and her horse was just wandering around the campsite with no halter on. So this is why you always bring extra stuff, because she says here, the broken halter and rope were still attached to the high line wrapped around the neck of my friend's horse. Kind of scary. That would be extremely scary. I don't know how to do high lines. Like if anyone has a, high lines for beginners or something video out there, send it to me, because I just don't know how to do it. Like some people will set up their high lines so that their horses can walk the whole length of the line. Like, and I thought that was the point of it, so your horses still had that mobility, but then it's like, how do you prevent them from getting wrapped up together? Funny you mentioned getting up early for horse shows. My alarm for horse shows is usually set at 2:45 a.m. to be at the barn by 4. Bleh. Oh my god, yeah, that would be terrible. I was talking about in the last episode how I am a morning person, but not a morning person if I have to work, or like have to do work when I get up. Yeah, that sounds terrible. I think that's about it. So, let me know what else you guys want to hear in the future episodes. Any questions you guys have down below about camping. I'm sure that I didn't cover everything, but all that I can think of at the moment. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you have any other questions about camping, any other video recommendations or podcast recommendations down below. I'll be looking forward to hearing those from you. Otherwise, make sure to check out the description box below. I have all my social medias, all my discount links and codes down there, including my TikTok and my Buy Me a Coffee, where you can donate to support, stuff like this, the podcast, the channel, more future videos and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get off of here now and let you guys enjoy your Labor Day, whatever you're doing today, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye!